Is BunPRO the fastest way to learn grammar? Maybe, maybe not, but I do think it's the best way to study by yourself. Let me tell you why I think BunPRO is Bun... huh. So how does BunPRO teach grammar? This is hilariously something that has so much less effort put into it than you'd think would even be possible in a grammar app. It literally links you to other websites in order to explain each of its grammar points. Not that that's a bad thing, you know, if someone's already done something better than you could, why redo it, right? It's just hilarious that you're paying money to get linked to other websites. Not really though. BunPRO has its own structure breakdown for each of the grammar points it teaches, which is really useful and very well thought out, and has its own example sentences for the core app, you know, the part you're actually paying for, and they're all voiced as well. It's just kind of funny that a key part of using their website is leaving to go read Tai Kim's Guide to Grammar. So anyway, it turns out learning Japanese grammar is really, really, really hard. I was breezing through WaniKani learning hundreds and hundreds of kanji, and I was like, man, this Japanese shit is easy. And then I got to grammar, and I was like, these all sound the same. Do they really mean different things? What? Turns out, yes. See, Japanese has a pretty limited number of sounds, which makes it pretty easy to learn the basics, but once you get into more complicated stuff, it's like... Luckily, we have BunPRO, which makes BunPRO so, pro. With the ability to correct your grammar mistakes. It's like having a teacher at hand. That's crazy, right? That's why I'm calling it, as of when BunPRO was released, physical textbooks are officially dead. I'm calling it here. If you put in close grammar, it'll be like, no, this is wrong, here's what you're missing. Or it'll be like, this is fine, but we're looking for this other similar grammar point. Or it'll be like, the nuance is slightly different, and then point you in the right direction. That's awesome, right? What's the catch? The catch is because you type in an answer to fill in the blank rather than reproducing whole sentences, it doesn't help as much for reproducing grammar as it does for understanding and recognizing. But that's not really a catch because, one, I can't imagine a grammar app doing this and correcting your mistakes. And two, if you listen to what Matt versus Weeaboo has to say, this is exactly what you should be doing at the start anyway. It isn't perfect. It obviously can't catch every possible close answer you put in. Or maybe it should. Or maybe it does, and I'm just completely misunderstanding some of the grammar. Probably both. Either way, this does it better than like any other grammar app out there. And it has so much more going for it that is all super well thought out. First, you can order the grammar you learn according to the most popular textbooks. So if you're taking a class or following a textbook, this is a fantastic resource. When I was in university, we studied using the Genki textbooks, so I started down the Genki path. This is such a great tool. It also pairs with my favorite app of all time, WaniKani. It will only show you furigana from kanji that you haven't learned with WaniKani. This is so useful, and it makes both programs just that much better than either would by themselves. Speaking of WaniKani, WaniKani's best feature is it opened its API up to its users, allowing the community to make mods for anything and everything that you might think of. BunPRO obviously took a lot of inspiration from WaniKani and did the exact same thing. The only problem is that everything is so well thought out, I can't think of a single thing I would even want a mod for. As I wrote this, I realized I should try to find a dark mode, which is already built in, because of course it is. There's so much to customize. You can tell it how much English you want, from full sentences to full sentences plus nuance to just the key grammar point to nothing at all. I don't recommend this last one. There's a lot of sentences where you could write in basically anything and have it be grammatically correct, so I literally don't know why this is an option, but it's there, I guess. I'd recommend going with just the basic prompt once you know enough Japanese to be able to read everything. There's also a lot of random customization options, like you can set it to just jump to the next question instead of going over your answer and any possible corrections. Again, That's absolutely insane. I don't know why you would want this. If you're not making mistakes, you don't need a grammar app. But, you know, again, the option's there, I guess. And then you decide how fast to go through BunPRO. You can choose how much grammar to be introduced with each new batch. Actually, I think this is maybe BunPRO's biggest downside. Whereas WaniKani is extremely structured, BunPRO is not at all. For some reason, it has EXP and level ups to try and kind of gamify it like WaniKani does. But I don't really know why it's there. There's absolutely no gating of any kind at all. This is something to keep in mind for those that like their handheld a little bit. You have to set your own pace. Clearly they've thought about this though and decided it isn't necessary, although I'm surprised there isn't at least an option given how customizable literally everything else is. I say clearly because the amount of customization put into everything else is just nutty. I guess it has to be. There's only so much you can do with teaching grammar. You just have to teach it and then practice it over and over again, really. And it seems like they've put in just about everything they can, but I do think optional gating is maybe the one thing they really should add in. Oh, there is one massive downside of BunPRO. At least last time I checked, their app is complete shit. But luckily, the mobile version of their website works great, which kind of makes me wonder why an app is even an option. I think the developers just get ahead of themselves sometimes. And remember that part about them opening their API up to users like WaniKani? Well, some chaps are working on a new app, so, you know, there you go. Anyway, God, what else is left to say? Like, to learn grammar, you just have to practice using and interpreting it over and over, and this seems like the most thoughtful and well laid out approach out there. Like, yeah, it's got quirks, but most of those quirks are inconsequential or just silly. There's a little more I think they could add, but for everything it is great, and honestly not very expensive. It's $30 for a year, or probably less than you'd be spending on grammar textbooks, and way more useful. Between this and WaniKani, you can cover most of what you have to learn in Japanese, and if you already have one, I'd highly recommend getting the other because of how well BunPRO has integrated itself into WaniKani. It just works so well. I love it. Like, what else would you even want? A working pitch accent in? Like, next time we evaluate Dogen's course and see if he really is the king of weebs or just some insane lunatic hopped up on Strong Zero. Hey friends, if you enjoyed this video, please help me out and step on that like button. If you'd like to see more big brain weeb content, I got a playlist on the left. And if there's any other weeb shit you'd like to hear me talk about, let me know in the comments. As always, thanks for watching.